Hello Internet, I'm HamsterBomb.
And I'm Timothy.
And you guys are back for another episode of Pokedex Paradox. We go through the Pokedex, find a bunch of stupid entries of things that either don't make any scientific sense or just contradict themselves, and oh boy, we have one that does both.
He does it in his own dex
All
entry.
of that, he does. We're going to be going into Magikarp. Now, I want to mention something before we go any further on this. Kim and I did this episode and the next two episodes completely.
Oh,
they were great.
That. They don't
but something went wrong with our audio, and now we're trying to completely redo them. So if we catch ourselves saying weird stuff, I'm sorry. That's what's going on. So anyway, we're trying to retrace our steps here and rediscuss Magikarp. So fortunately, I've got everything down that we did discuss, so we're gonna try and do this all again. This guy, as you just mentioned, he's got a bunch of weird contradictions in his own entries, and we don't even really know much about this worthless fish. That's the real big thing that we do know.
Worthless. The dex entry does that enough.
It calls him pathetic and weak. I don't think any other Pokemon gets slammed more in its own dex entries than Magikarp. Poor thing. Poor guy. I'm not even going to go through and count how many times he gets slammed in here because I'm actually ignoring most of those entries.
Right.
The ones that I am reading are the ones that contradict themselves or give us really weird science.
So if it's not contradicting itself, giving us weird science, it's just slamming, roasting Magikarp.
So just assume all the other games that I'm not reading are just roasting Magikarp. Also, by the end of this, we're going to go a little bit into Gyarados as well, just because of Gyarados referencing Magikarp and his weird evolution that he has. So we will dig into that a bit.
And actually, that's the dex entry that's gave us the idea for this episode, because we were looking, somebody submitted it on Discord.
Good point,
and
yes.
Wanted us to do the Gyarados entry, which eventually actually led to more Magikarp entries.
More of a Magikarp entry, yes. Which is another good thing to point out. If you guys want to send in any ideas for new Pokedex Paradox episodes, you find crazy entries on your own, send them to us over on the Discord page, which you can find a link to either in the description of the YouTube video, or if you're listening to iTunes, you can jump over to the YouTube channel, and there's links to Discord all over the place. We'd love to see you there. But anyway, like I said, this was a Discord one, and let's jump into some dex entries. So, very first generation, we're going to go to Yellow. Famous for being very unreliable, it can be found swimming in seas, lakes, rivers, and shallow puddles. My favorite part here, I want to point out, is shallow puddles. So if it's raining a little too much outside, you know, and a little puddle forms in front of your yard, you know, we all got little areas of our yard that kind of like, you know, fill up with water more than, right? Boom, Magikarp spawns.
Magikarp.
In there, he's just this big flopping fish. It's just splashing in the water of, I don't know, 1.5 inch deep puddle. It just appears.
If it's water, Magikarp is there.
There he is. He's there. Gold, an underpowered, pathetic Pokemon. No. The slams, I'm telling you, they're real. It may jump high on rare occasions, but never more than 7 feet.
That's a very important number to keep in mind.
That's a number we need to remember.
feet.
That is coming back later, and it may be my favorite part about Magikarp. So, Silver. For no reason, it jumps and splashes about, making it easy for predators like Pidgeotto to catch it mid-jump. It's important to note how stupid they are, because we're going to get in later of how they seem to be absolutely everywhere and taking over the planet, like the cockroach of the sea, but this just, for some reason, is the dumbest creature. It's an absolute moron.
Survives for generations, but never dies.
No.
Never.
Well, they were perpetually dying. It's like they die more than they
die,
live. And supposedly it's really hard for them to even evolve. So why do we even...
They're so stupid.
I don't understand why we even have them. Crystal. This weak and pathetic Pokemon gets easily pushed along rivers where there are strong currents. It's another one I want you guys to remember. I know we're going through with the weird ones first. They contradict themselves later. So remember, they can't jump more than 7 feet. And they get swept along strong currents. So let's just keep going. Ruby. Magikarp is a pathetic excuse for a Pokemon that is only capable of flopping and splashing. This behavior prompted scientists to undertake research on it.
I must study the stupid!
It's so bad. I need to know it's full bad. I must encapsulate the bad. Well, that's one thing. To be fair, we're doing the same thing right now.
Right.
So, I guess we should probably stop making fun of them.
I gotta know why it's so stupid.
I guess. Sapphire. Magikarp is virtually useless in battle, as it can only splash around. As a result, it is considered to be weak. However, it is actually a very hardy Pokemon that can survive in any body of water, no matter how polluted it is.
Yeah, being a hobby aquarist, that's what I want in my tank.
That's the ideal fish. That's the ideal fish.
If I can't kill it, no matter what I do, that's the fish for me right there.
Specifically, though, it used the word polluted. But it also said survive in any body of water. So that could mean a lot of things.
There are two different factors
right.
here.
I was trying to figure out this part of Magikarp's contradiction. Kim's got another one coming up later. So just to talk about any body of water, that could mean anything like any temperature of the water. So hot springs that might be somewhere, or freaking cold Arctic water that actually gets below freezing. You know, so I doubt that he's actually surviving that.
I'm just imagining Magikarp in a hot springs chilling with monkeys right now.
Oh.
It's a great image in my head.
Monkeys.
Monkeys,
like me.
That's like the Japanese thing. Monkeys in a hot spring, you know.
Sure.
It is.
But anyway, I mean, it's not like you could just like, I would expect, if he can survive that, you can't just plop him into the boiling water and then throw him back in the ice water. You do that to a human and they'll die. You do that to almost anything and it'll die. But most fish, they'll be swimming through these. And it's saying that it's hardy and can survive in it, not forcibly plopped in. So,
you know, and not thriving in it either. So it's not doing like,
I don't know.
Great thing.
Yeah, it doesn't use the word thrive. It just says survive. So maybe. Another thing is salinity. This is another big thing with fish. I don't think Pokemon seems to understand that. There's different kinds of water. You shouldn't drink ocean water because that has salt in it. A lot of salt.
Magikarp's good with it.
Yeah, but apparently Magikarp can live in salt water as well as fresh water and brackish water, which is in between those two things. And since you brought up aquariums, keeping brackish water at home is super hard. So, because it's that area in between the two. Obviously, there's ocean areas that will go into rivers, and that is salt turning into fresh. It's not just an immediate drop change.
Right.
The water in the middle it's mixed halfway. It's kind of hard to describe how salt mixes in the water.
It's very strange because also on some maps you can see the line.
Yeah, you can see
where you can see fresh and salt. So there's like no brackish there with some of them because the salinity's too high.
You would think that it would just dilute over time and it would all have like equal amount of salt everywhere, but it's not like that.
It's super cool seeing it on maps.
Yeah,
though,
it's weird.
really
so anyway, Magikarp can swim through this. And the thing is, there's a lot of fish that do swim through this kind of thing. Yeah. Think of like tuna. You know, they will swim from like oceans to up rivers. So they're changing, and this is an extreme change. You take any fish that's not accustomed to that, they're gonna die. You know, like, I'm sorry, everybody. Finding Nemo can't happen.
Finding Dory.
Or Finding Dory in particular. That one's even worse.
Finding Nemo does it too.
Finding Nemo's bad about it too, but Finding Dory is so much worse.
I'm pretty sure they fall in like a bucket of sanitizer water at one point in Finding Dory.
Yeah, or like a bucket of water they were like mopping off the ground. Like,
yeah.
I'm sorry, you're gonna kill it. Especially with like a hippotang. You sneeze on that thing and it's gonna die.
Oh yeah, those things are hard to keep alive.
So, and as far as Disney Pixar was concerned, if it's wet, the fish can live in it. So...
Also, the same goes for Magikarp.
Which is where I'm going back to. So apparently, Magikarp is as crazy hardy as they are. Though the big one they mention is pollution. So the pollution is the big thing. So there's several kinds of pollution. I was trying to figure out, like, what all can he exactly survive? Because I want to make darn sure that fish can really do this. So one thing was agricultural pollutants. So this is stuff like fertilizers, pesticides, and animal waste, the kind of sludgy crap
definitely poisons.
Poison, yeah, basically poison. Kind of stuff that PETA's all pissed off about that, like, ends up in the rivers and killing the fish, and except it actually does kill the fish, so you're like, oh, I like
fish. But not
fish.
Magikarp.
Not Magikarp. Nope, PETA can shut their mouth right there. Was it PETA was Team Plasma, right? 5th gen?
Yeah.
They can shut up about this. It'll kill all the Wailords and Weasels out there. Ooh, so all the Weasels are gonna die, Kim. Anyway, it's gonna kill everything.
Shouldn't be too excited about that.
Everything but Magikarp will live. So the thing is, actual fish, as far as they're concerned, this is going to greatly harm their organ functions detrimentally and eventually kill the fish.
Which is why Magikarp's so stupid.
I guess so. He's got to be brain dead somehow.
Right.
I guess the only place that affects him is his brain.
It goes
straight to his head.
Yep, done.
So, we've got other kinds of pollutions here. So how about like sewage and wastewater? This is like the disgusting stuff that like flushes out of your own house through the toilet, goes through the sink, the nasty human-caused stuff from just day-to-day things. Surprisingly, fish are fine in this. No matter how gross it is, actually. Fish are fine in that.
Why would they be fine in that? That doesn't even make sense.
A lot of... It's gross, but a lot of our wastes are their food. If you think of it... Here's a better way to think of it. Think of like how a tree's waste we breathe in. Okay, and our waste, the carbon dioxide, the tree takes in. Okay, so think of it more like that. Don't think of we're all eating each other's poop in a happy world, even though it's exactly what the fish are doing. We're not eating the fish's poop. We're just eating the fish. So, there's actually... This is the most disturbing thing I found. Apparently, it's common practice in Indonesia to keep a catfish, a living catfish, in your septic tank.
I mean, I still don't think that's that bad. I mean, I'm not with PETA, but don't do that. Please don't do that.
Well, yeah, it's totally against a bunch of regulations in everywhere else in the world,
except for Indonesia.
Apparently, except Indonesia, where standards are pretty dang low for, animal cruelty towards fish.
Don't do this to your fish, please.
Don't do this. Now, the most disgusting thing I thought was when the fish is, like, at a certain age or it's, like, getting too big for the tank. Because they do this, by the way, to keep the septic tank cleaner. Okay?
Because it goes in there and it eats everything.
It eats everything. The fish is growing bigger, and the fish is, living in its own crap, too. I don't know how it survives.
That's gotta be, like, the worst life ever.
They eat the catfish.
Yeah, sure.
No, sure.
That sounds totally like a sustainable thing here. Like, it keeps it clean, and then you eat it afterwards.
You're disgusting. No.
I mean, catfish is disgusting to begin with.
Yeah.
If you've ever had catfish, it's just nasty.
They're also mean. But the thing is, like, can you imagine trying to get an angry, pissed off catfish that's whole life is living in a septic tank and get it out because you want to cook it?
It's never seen the light of day. It's never seen the light of day.
You better not put it in there with a second one, too. Imagine you have an outbreak of catfish in your septic tank.
Oh,
it's all good. Kim, you shouldn't eat these things because it's covered in so much. It's gonna kill you.
But I mean, you're cooking it, and you can't.
Yes, technically, when you cook it, if you really cook it, you're gonna kill off all the bacteria. But there's so much bacteria and crap there still, and it's all that meat.
So what you're telling me is that if you ever go to your marketplace, you see catfish from Indonesia, don't eat it.
Don't. They're selling them for a reason. But oh god. Anyway, so Magikarp can survive that. I'll give that a pass. Okay,
that's just such a horrible thing to do to fish. I mean, it's kind of like
it's awful, but apparently they're cool with it.
It's like that idea of like a beta living in a small tank where it shouldn't be able to survive.
Like a wine glass.
Like
people keep beta fish in wine glasses.
In a giant tank where it'll be happy and it'll live. It can survive, but it's not doing the best there. I mean, you can look at these side-by-side images. The betas aren't nearly
To be fair, people put beta fish inside of tiny little tanks like that because they're jerks and they'll kill anyone else you put in their tank with them.
That's their little timeout corner.
Yeah. They'll even kill plants if you let them.
Mostly snails. They hate snails.
They hate anything in there. Jerks. So, we got more pollutants. I want to hurry up through these because we got other stuff to talk about with Magikarp today. We got oil spills. So, oil in particular is another odd thing. This is something that is usually a human-caused problem. Like, we BP'd ourselves and boom, we splashed a bunch of...
BP's never gonna live that one down.
No, even though other companies have done that too. BP's the one who's famous for it.
It got the most publicity, so...
It was more of a marketing thing. But anyway, so the oil spill... Now, okay, can Magikarp survive this? Trying to see... Because clearly he says, no matter how polluted it is, oil pollution is a really big thing. So you got like an oil tanker, and it goes down, you got oil everywhere. Of course, you got the environmentalists out there complaining because, oh, the poor duckies, Kim. They can't flap their little feathers because there's oil on the feathers.
I mean, that is true.
I was saying it for you because I know you're like, oh, the little duckies.
Yeah, I'm really upset that Dawn's dish soap has a picture of a ducky, and yet 100% of the proceeds do not go to duckies.
100% of the It's a non-profit, 100% for duckies. That's
yes!
Okay, these are Kim's things that she worries about. But anyway, no fish can survive oil. They will die immediately.
That makes sense, because, I mean, fish still need oxygen, and there's no oxygen in
exactly.
oil.
It's like the same thing. It's like asking, how long would a human live if I just put them underwater? Like, maybe a minute.
Or worse, filling your room
because you
with carbon dioxide.
Exactly. Maybe a minute, you won't be able to breathe. You're gonna die. So it's the same thing. The fish need to be able to, they use their gills to extract the oxygen out of the water. They're breathing that way. Unless you've got like, it's a labyrinth organ where they swim up to the top and actually breathe through their mouth. But the thing is, you still can't put oil in that water. Plus, it's still gonna kill a fish.
Right, they still have gills. Like, they still have gills. They still filter out the oxygen in the rest of the water. So it's like they're doing that, but because they have that labyrinth organ, they can survive in harsher, like,
in
water
dirtier
types.
water.
Yeah,
right, it's an advantage for dirty water. But the thing is, not oily water. Oily water, they don't mix well.
No, they don't
mix at all.
They don't mix.
They don't, which is why it's just gonna kill them. Now the thing is, you can dilute the oil in the water. You know, if you've seen like skimmy oils like sitting on top of water just a little bit.
Okay, yeah, but that's not happening with a BP spill.
No, but out on the fringes it may. So I was thinking, because Magikarp can supposedly survive this, what about diluted oil? What does that do to a fish? So apparently that is still slowly gonna kill the fish due to giving it severe problems like reduced growth, an enlarged liver, changes in its heart and respiration rate, its fin erosion, impaired reproductive systems, and it's also going to adversely affect its larval and egg survival. Most of those problems are all related to one thing. Breathing. It can't breathe. So, I don't know. Magikarp maybe doesn't have gills at all, and that's my only solution.
I've seen his picture. He looks like he has gills.
Maybe he can completely shut them and like just go on top of the water and just like. Because if he's an air breather, 100%.
I'm pretty sure I've seen Magikarp out of water too. Like
that's true. Well, I've seen every fish out of water in Pokemon because they're so lazy they don't want to animate them.
And like, Let's Go Eevee, it can follow you. It flops on the ground. It survives.
He's alive. He's alive. So I don't. That one I'm calling BS on. The oil spill.
Okay, so not oil spill, but you're okay with agricultural pollution?
No, that'll kill him too. The fertilizer, pesticides, that's killing him too.
Oh, okay.
It's killing him slower, but it's killing him too.
Okay, and then
the sewage and wastewater, he's surviving.
He's fine with sewage and wastewater.
There's actually one more.
Okay.
Radioactivity.
Ooh.
This is my favorite one.
So we're gonna get like super Magikarp.
Like this is where we get shiny Magikarp. Yeah. So radioactivity, we actually have this issue with real life fish.
Oh, this is great.
So there are places that have had some nuclear disasters or just nuclear tests, which is awful, where things just go boom and it causes a lot of weird wildlife problems.
I mean, I've heard a lot of that
Magikarp can survive it.
Oh, boy.
Supposedly. Well, I mean, as the Dex says, Dex is law, Kim.
I mean, as one of the biggest things I always think of for radioactivity is Chernobyl. So
or turning something flash into a Gyarados, maybe.
Oh yes, the radioactivity. Bam, done.
I doubt it would happen at all, because typically what happens with fish, because we actually have areas of the world. Say, I think there's like even lakes around like Chernobyl. There's fish outside of recent, and by recent I mean like about almost 10 years ago. This huge nuclear mistake. I forget exactly what happened. Somewhere around Japan. But there's off the coast tons of fish even today that are still radioactive, and scientists are arguing whether or not it's safe to actually eat these fish even now.
Yeah, don't eat those. You're not going to become fish man,
Well,
that's not how it works.
Here's the thing. If the scientists aren't sure, just don't eat it. Okay?
Don't eat the fish.
So, fish apparently can survive, just like how a human can survive.
Yeah, I could probably survive some radioactivity.
You're gonna have some reproductive problems, and you're gonna have some odd mutations. And this is genetic stuff, and that means the bad kind. So for humans, you're talking, this is where cancer comes from most of the time, okay?
These are things you pass down through generations.
These are bad things, yes. These are bad things. This isn't, well, I mean, here, Magikarp might be, if you'd argue, so weak and pathetic and horrible, as the Dex wants to point out over and over again. Maybe the changes can only be good things. And it turns him into Gyarados. But a Gyarados is not a great thing. But still, you know, just to get some productive thing I found out of the search for the pollutants, I did actually find a fish that can survive some serious toxins. It's the killifish. Now,
Yeah, see, that surprises me because I've always heard killifish are incredibly difficult to keep.
They are, because killifish live in brackish water. We mentioned that before. They only survive in that in-between area. So you've got to keep them, at home it's basically, it's so hard to keep brackish. I can't
even imagine doing, that's like you have to have your own
We have trouble trying to keep salt.
Your own filtration system set up.
Yeah, it's insane. You've got to keep, I don't know, it's a lot. But anyway,
they're really beautiful fish, though. I mean, I've seen pictures of killies.
The thing is, those things have specifically evolved to survive serious toxins because of our own pollutants in the ocean. Because as things evolve, you're slowly getting different genetic mutations, which is natural.
Pokemon evolution.
Basically, except this thing evolved to survive our own pollution to it. Now, how toxic is the water this thing can survive? Typically, the lethal dose of a fish, this thing can survive 8,000 times that. 8,000. It's basically, it's not affecting it.
Okay.
It's basically, it's basically impervious to toxins. Almost impervious. So here, if you think of like ammonia or typical things that will get fish very sick and kill them, it's not affecting this guy.
So this thing could just poop and pee in its own bowl forever, and
it could live in your septic tank, apparently. So, moving on, we have more Dex entries. We're finally done with the toxic stuff, because I'm still calling an absolutely not on Magikarp unless he's so weird, like he can just mouth breathe out of the water to 100%.
Well, like I said, I've seen him flopping on dry land.
You know, maybe he just spawns in puddles. He can't be breathing that water.
No, he's bigger than that puddle in most cases. I just don't.
Let's move on to another Dex entry. We have Fire Red. It is virtually worthless in terms of both power and speed. You know, it's funny because it has a great speed stat.
Really?
Yeah, it's like 80 or something, I think. It's really good. Now, I mean, of course, he's got nothing to back it up, but still, he's kind of quick. It's the most weak and pathetic Pokemon in the world. That's straight up what it says.
That's the worst.
Oh, what's bad about that is that's actually not even true in the Dex. Now, in Kanto, that might have been true, but when we got, like, introduction of the baby Pokemon in Johto and a bunch of other, you know, very, very weak and cute little Pokemon.
They're just there to be cute.
There's plenty of Pokemon that are weaker than him.
They're just cuting around. That's
right.
what they do.
They're just cuting around. We have Diamond. It is said to be the world's weakest Pokemon. No one knows why it has managed to survive. Even though it can survive absolutely everything.
Oh, was that one before the Platinum entry?
I'm reading these in canonical order of getting them. So Diamond, this is after. So even though this fish, we know it can survive any water type or pollutant.
We know.
We have no idea how it survived.
Paradox!
Maybe, yeah. This thing is a paradox within a paradox. And the thing is, we're not even getting to the contradictory ones yet. Platinum.
That was pretty contradictory. I don't know.
I love this, though. Platinum. A Magikarp living for many years can leap a mountain using Splash. The move remains useless, though. Need I remind you of a certain entry I pointed out earlier in this? He can only jump no higher than 7 feet. So I was like, okay, how is this going to work? It's a riddle, right? There's a way to do this. There's a solution here.
They do not think that hard into these Dex
entries. There's a solution, Kim. I can do it. So what I was thinking is maybe if there's somewhere in the world with a mountain so high that because technically to be a mountain you need to be over 2,000 feet at least. That's the requirement. Okay. So if it's that high, but I want to say because it has to be able to jump no higher than 7 feet to clear this mountain. If there's, say, a water basin way up on the top of it, okay, that is about 6 feet from the peak, and if he got just on the edge of it and you splash, he could clear that mountain. Now he will tumble down to his death in agony for about 4 hours. It'll be hilarious. But he will do it. But the problem is I looked it up and no, there is nothing like that.
That just sounds... That doesn't even sound like a riddle that would make sense. Like,
no,
that
so
makes no sense to me.
What we've learned is Magikarp can jump over 2,000 feet, but no higher than 7.
Okay.
That's what we
That's important information right
now
there.
We know.
This is the logo for
everything
the
you know
Paradox.
about Magikarp jump is just a lie. It
right.
can't happen.
Because people remember that game.
Yeah, it's a stupid little mobile game. I played it for a while just to get a shiny Magikarp out of it, and I was like, all right, cool, I'm done.
Let's get a shiny Pokemon in it.
My favorite part about that game is if you train your Magikarp too much, it'll evolve into a Gyarados. Your trainer gets so sad, like sulks back to the pond and go catch another Magikarp and start over.
Well, isn't the thing a whole magic about this? What is it, Magikarp Jump or whatever
it's
it is?
Magikarp Jump.
It does get eaten by Pidgeot.
Yeah, it actually will. If it jumps too high, it will be eaten by Pidgeot. So they did read his entry. They just kind of forgot about the 7 feet law. So that's screwed over.
Jumps.
Anyway, let's move on to Sun. Although weak and helpless, this Pokemon is incredibly fertile. They exist in such multitudes, you'll soon grow tired of seeing them. So, he lives everywhere.
Totally the cockroach of the sea. Then.
Yeah, he's the cockroach of the sea. They live everywhere. You can't kill them.
They reproduce all the time. They
reproduce like crazy everywhere. And they're basically...
They're nonstop.
They're nonstop. So, Moon, its reckless leaps make it easy pickings for predators, as you just mentioned. On the bright side, many Pokemon enjoy longer lifespans thanks to Magikarp. That's just so stupid.
That's so mean.
It's so mean and so stupid.
So mean to Magikarp.
Alright, I want to move on to Gyarados here, because I know we've got a bit of time in here still. Actually, holy crap, we've got like a full episode on this. I didn't think we'd actually fill up
we gotta go
Magikarp.
on Magikarp.
I'm sorry, Gyarados. We gotta do Gyarados. Okay, so I'm gonna read these really quickly. They're just a lot of really weird entries, and then Kim's gonna bring something up about his transformation. So, Red and Blue. Rarely seen in the wild, huge and vicious, it is capable of destroying entire cities in a rage. So... frightening.
Terrifying.
Keep that in mind. Gold. They say that during past wars, Gyarados would appear and leave blazing ruins in its wake. So he's destroying cities. There's a key word there.
Blazing.
Something was wrong. Yeah. Crystal. It appears whenever there is world conflict, burning down any place that it travels through. That's odd. I believe this is a water-type Pokemon. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Crazy idea.
Ruby. When Magikarp evolves into Gyarados, its brain cells undergo a structural transformation. Yeah. It is said that this transformation is to blame for this Pokemon's wildly violent nature. Now, hold on. This is actually what Kim's going to dig into, but you need to hear the rest of the entries to really understand what she's going to be talking about here. So, basically, that was the brain cells itself are undergoing a structural transformation.
Right.
Okay? And this is actually the entry that was sent to us on Discord. We will dig into this one. But Sapphire, once Gyarados goes on a rampage, its ferociously violent blood doesn't calm until it has burned everything down.
Lighting everything on fire.
Everything on fire. But here, it just said last time, the brain cells under the transformation is what does it. This time it says it's his blood?
I think the blood's just like what would you call that? Like a metaphor or something like that.
His anime anger.
Like when you say someone's hot-blooded, you know, they're not really
Okay,
hot-blooded.
fine. I'm still saying it's his anime power.
But I mean, and the other one still specifically says cell undergoes
the other one flat out says
That's totally different.
Fire Red. It has an extremely aggressive nature. The hyper beam it shoots from its mouth totally incinerates all targets. So now we got like an excuse for the fire. We think it's hyper beam. Diamond. Once it appears, its rage never settles until it has razed the fields and mountains around it. This thing is changing the landscape of the world with fiery explosions. Platinum, once it begins the rampage, Gyarados will burn everything down, even in a harsh storm. So, no matter how bad your storm is, it is not putting out its fires.
I still don't believe that Hyper Beam can be the cause of all of this fire, because Hyper Beam's not fire type. I always consider it kind of like a nuclear kind of thing.
There's so many that are about him destroying things with fire. I'm actually even going to skip some. It's insane. It's constant, one after another.
If you read Gyarados text entry, all with fire, he just burninates the fire side.
Yes, but I have another great one here. From Ultra Sun. It fires hyper beams in all directions, burning the surrounding area to ash. Okay, so do you know what a hyper beam in all directions is called?
A nuclear explosion?
It's a bomb. Like, it's just a bomb. Does he constantly do it too? It's just the best.
Starts vibrating.
All right, so let's actually read some of the Mega decks because these are particularly stupid too. Sun. Mega Evolution also affects its brain, leaving no other function except its destructive instinct to burn everything to cinders. So, what happens if you remove every instinct other than your drive to destroy?
I'm gonna guess, primary functions, like, breathing.
Yeah, your breathing's gone. Your heartbeat stops.
Yeah.
You can't move. Motor functions are gone. You're just dead. He just dies. But he's angry.
I still want to point out
he is angry and dead.
Cinders actually says, like, it has to be fire.
Yes, it has to be fire for Cinders. So Moon. It jets water from the orifices on its sides, streaking above the water surface at supersonic speed. Yes, he's going Mach speeds.
Why?
And they went ham on this one. Ultra Moon. It zooms out of the water at Mach speeds. Even large ships caught in its path are split cleanly in two. They would be way more than that. That ship wouldn't exist anymore.
This is a torpedo.
It's way more than a torpedo.
Rocket?
Rockets can't even go this fast near the ground.
Fire my Mega Gyarados gun.
It will kill everything, including itself. It's insane. Now we've got a great one to end this before Kim takes over for a bit. We have the Let's Go games. Although it obeys its instinctive drive to destroy everything within its reach, it will respond to orders from a trainer it truly trusts.
It loves you.
It loves you. Even though every other entry ever tells you about how horrible it is.
Lighting things on fire.
And how it lights things on fire.
How it hates the world.
This thing is the devil. It evolves from this crappy little fish that can survive anything and turns into the devil.
Because here goes my theory on it. It's from all of that pollution that you're putting your Magikarp in.
The mutations, the radioactivity. All right, so Kim.
We got the radioactivity, we got the pollution, and it's just.
Yeah. There's a lot of that nonsense that's turning him into this.
Which is why I go back to.
All right, so you're gonna explain like how that transformation, that weird dex entry can happen.
So, like, this is why I think the pollution might have something to do with it, because brain cells undergo a structural transformation, is what it says, right?
Yes, that's what it says.
A lot of. I mean, I had to dig a lot into the chemical reactions in the brain, what happens when you get angry and things like that, but a lot of the research that I found is mostly on mammals.
Mm-hmm.
So at least let me explain a little bit into how that works with the mammals. So some of you may have heard of the neurotransmitter serotonin, which kind of regulates your anger, your aggression levels, how happy you are, that kind of stuff with your brain. And if that's decreased in the brain, and it'll continue aggressive behavior. Only decreasing serotonin more, it's just going to get angrier and angrier.
Okay.
So now that's a chemical change versus like a cellular change. Now, another thing is, in most mammal cases, impulsive aggression can result from low serotonin levels, which we just said.
Okay.
But it's all located in that the ventral and the prefrontal cortex. So that's in the front of the brain.
Yeah, up in the
that's
front.
Where I'm thinking. That's where this anger is happening.
He's banging his head against a wall.
He could be. It's all that splashing. He's just landing on his head repeatedly.
He's just whacking his head.
So, like, if that ventricle gets too small
or he's getting beaten up. He's getting beaten up in battle. It's him leveling up. Yeah, he's getting the crap kicked out of him.
If that ventricle can get too small, you're not releasing as much serotonin into the brain, inducing anger. But then again, this is mammals that do this.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So
what about fish?
This is a fish.
It's a fish.
And if
he's sort of a fish. He has to mouth breathe.
If you know anything about fish, there are a lot of them that are just aggressively angry for no reason.
Yes, we mentioned betas earlier. And catfish are just angry.
So there's a particular fish that usually gets studied for this a lot called the zebrafish.
Really?
And it actually shows a particular gene that is related to aggressive fish behavior.
A brain cell!
A brain cell gene!
Wait a minute!
It's called FGFR1, if that means anything to you.
Yeah, FGFR1.
Right? Yeah, of course.
Yeah, right.
Right? Yeah.
What's she talking about?
Well, if that gene mutates, it causes low levels of histamine, a neurotransmitter responsible for regulating appetite, sleep, and attention.
Oh, this is all making sense.
So if you get rid of that, of course you're going to get angry.
Yeah, and nothing will stop him in his rage.
Right.
So where's the fire come in?
I got nothing on
okay,
fire.
Yeah.
But apparently if you give these zebrafish this histamine, like a dosage of this, this chemical.
Okay.
Because the cell isn't producing this chemical.
Can you calm the fish down?
Yeah, it totally just calms it down. Makes it significantly calmer, chills it out.
So you gotta give Gyarados his shots.
Yeah. If you just keep, injecting him with drugs, he'll be okay.
But he's huge. He needs gallons of this stuff.
But also, maybe he needs this stuff to evolve into Gyarados. Maybe it's the anger that makes him evolve.
But I was thinking the other way around. Say Gyarados, say he's destroying the entire city and, burning it with hyper beams in all directions. Does everyone have to show up with, syringes, that have, gallon-sized things, and they just swarm him and just start shooting him with needles until eventually he just kind of, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. And he's just kind of thrashing and twitching on the ground eventually until, there's just few burning cinders left.
Just a few.
But
apparently you can't put them out, though, according to the Dex entries.
No. It's not like he's water type or anything.
I just thought that was so fascinating. The one Dex entry that was brought to us was the one that I thought was totally possible. So the gene mutates, during evolution.
Yeah, it said it.
And then it just totally spazzes out.
So it's funny. The one you guys brought to us was actually the most likely. Is that right?
Right, yeah.
All the others were contradictory nonsense or just slamming and roasting this poor fish.
And I'm not gonna lie, when I saw someone submit the Dex entry, I thought, oh, that's totally possible.
Really?
That can happen. Yeah.
I thought there's no way.
I love the research that goes into brains and how the chemicals react with
brains
your
are
brain.
Weird.
And, at first I thought it was going to be a chemical thing, but I actually found a gene, a structural cell
an actual
within
thing that does
fish that just makes it angry.
That's funny.
It makes it such an angry fish.
That's crazy.
And now we know that.
But anyway,
watch out for those FGFR1s that are mutated out there.
Yeah, those. Whenever you see random letters and numbers together in an acronym you don't understand, stay away. Danger is what it spells, I think.
Oh, can we CRISPR it and then
Oh, let's not go there.
Make calm betas?
or calm Gyarados that use water for a change so it gets his stab. Or maybe that's a problem.
Oh.
He'd hit harder. But anyway, that is all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and be sure to join us next time for some more game science. Be sure to follow us either on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Then we will see you all in the next episode of Pokedex Paradox.
Bye-bye.